Great Wednesday evening, the last day of March 2021. To God be the glory. We are about to go into another quarter, for we have seen the first 3 months of this year. Can we think back New Year's when we brought in 2021? Yeah, a lot of us, we were ready to get 2020 out the way, right? But we have had some challenges for the first 3 months of this year, but the Lord has brought us to this point, and we thank Him. It's His faithfulness. Well, you said that you had something to say for Proverbs 31, and we know that that is one of our favorite chapters, talking about the Proverbs 31 woman, and then the mother talking to her son, who's a king. What spoke to you specifically this evening?
Proverbs?
Yep.
7.
Let him drink and forget his poverty and remember his misery no more.
I chose that because you can't like run away from your issues or just like drink or like just act like they don't exist. So you have to face them head on. Yeah, acting like they don't exist is not gonna solve anything. It's just gonna like make things worse for you down the line. So I wanna face my problems like a man and handle it, not just like pretend it doesn't exist or it's like it's gonna solve itself.
That's the truth. And again, it says in verse 6, because King Lemuel's mom was, just giving him advice. And she was saying, give strong drink unto them that are ready to perish. They're like depressed. They're just ready to die. No hope. That's who should be drinking, right? When they're just like wallowing. And we know that strong drink has that type of effect. And that's why we want to stay away from it, because you're never going to be able to problem solve and have the clarity and the sharpness and the focus when we're drunk. No, that's just for, wasting time. But guess what? There is always a hangover, and we're going to have to wake up and deal with things eventually. So we should look to the Lord. He is the one who gives us strength. And it says in verse 25, whether you're female or male, we want this to be said about our wardrobe. Strength and honor are her clothing, are his clothing, and we shall rejoice in the time to come. And we know that the wardrobe that we should wear is the whole armor of God. That's right. Ephesians 6. Don't leave home without it. Don't leave the bed without it. The whole armor, because we know the enemy is waiting to just attack us. And, don't even check that phone before consulting with the Lord, because he's hatched a plan while we're asleep. So don't face the day without the Lord's consultation. We're in the 14th chapter of Judges, and we know, speaking of clothing, we know this is the chapter where Samson was like, I got to have her. Mom and Dad, I got to have her. And they were like, can't you just settle on a woman within our family line instead of trying to get with a woman in the Philistines? But he was like, no, I insist, I want to have her. So they went ahead and got the Philistine woman, and they got married, Samson and a woman, and they were at a wedding party, right? And this was when Samson gave the riddle. And speaking of clothing, when we were talking about the whole armor of God and strength and honor is our clothing, our wardrobe, well, the wedding gift to the people who would guess the riddle correctly were new clothes. So they were like, yeah, we'll take it. But they were like, listen, the guests were telling the wife, the new bride, the wife, listen, you tell us the answer to that riddle, or else we'll kill you and burn your family. I'm like, what type of guests were they at the wedding party? did they just get some criminals or something? And talking about some pressure. So it said in that chapter that she just vexed Samson and bothered him and made his life miserable. So the case in point, very important, don't settle and just go for a woman, a future wife who just looks fine. Because internally, if she's not beautiful and have any morals, you know, she's just gonna wreck your life and vex you. Well, anyway, it turned out later on she told the answer to the guest, and then Samson found out and he had a temper tantrum, and yeah, that was the first of it. So what the bottom line is, let's keep our emotions in check. And the way to do that is to make sure that we consult with the Lord. No, when we have disappointments, we don't turn to drink. We don't turn to fighting. We don't turn to temper tantrums. We turn to the Lord. We pray. That's the whole armor of God, right? Our shield of faith, our sword of the Spirit, our feet prepared with the gospel of peace. We do not go into crazy places. We have our shoes on, right? We have our helmet of salvation, our breastplate of righteousness, so we can protect our heart, so we won't let everybody, the wrong people in our heart and in our lives. That's right. God's ways are perfect. They're real. They're true for our benefit. These are not just some stories from thousands of years ago, but these stories are applicable for today, relationships, and they're powerful, they're true, and the word is a two-edged sword. It's quick, powerful. That means it's alive and cutting asunder. It's to divide the mess from what is true and what is real and what will endure. All right. So thank you for that insight. And let's not run from our problems, but let's consult the Lord. Good evening.